don't need to spend thousands of dollars to get cinematic underwater footage like this. In this video, we're going to show you how you can get professional results using any action camera, and how you can take your footage from this to this. Plus, stay tuned for the #1 mistake divers make that ruins their shots, no matter how expensive their camera setup is. We get asked about this every week. Most people assume that cinematic underwater footage is only possible with huge full-frame camera setups. But here's the problem. Big rigs are a nightmare. They're heavy to travel with, difficult to pack, terrifying to flood, high maintenance, and challenging to dive with. Our entire underwater camera setup fits into this small shoulder bag. It's easy to maintain, simple to dive with, and it won't destroy your bank balance if it gets lost or flooded. But they still have their limits. There are a few accessories and techniques you'll need if you want to get professional looking cinematic shots underwater. For our videos, we're using the GoPro Hero 13, but this information applies to any action camera. First up, you'll want that underwater housing if you want to go deeper than 10 to 15 meters. There are loads of cheap third-party housings available on Amazon, but we highly recommend you give these a miss and only use the ones manufactured by your camera brand. Next, we have stability. Your action camera is small and light, which is perfect for travel, but if it's stuck on the end of a long pole or mounted on a single handle, your footage will look like it was shot during an earthquake. And no amount of inbuilt or post-production image stabilization will save you. We recommend you mount your camera on a set of dual handles like these to keep your camera work nice and steady, which will help you get those buttery smooth cinematic shots. You'll notice on our handles we have these ball mounts, which brings us to our next and most important accessory for high quality underwater footage. All action cameras share the same problem. They have small sensors. This is fine on land, but going deeper means less light. This is where smaller cameras start to struggle. A red filter like this will only get you so far. Once you go deeper than about 15 meters, they can no longer produce accurate colors. The inbuilt image stabilization in most action cams also relies heavily on light. So your footage starts to get noisy, green, and shaky. That's where these lights are a game changer. For wide angle, we'd recommend 2 if your budget allows it. Unlike normal underwater torches, video-specific lights provide a wide, even beam. This ensures that you can get an evenly lit image across the frame. They bring out the true colours of the reef and provide enough light for your action camera to produce sharp, noise-free and stable images. We currently use a pair of 5,000 lumen lights made by Shaky. And we recently got sent these ones from Torch, which are 2,300 lumens each, so stay tuned for an upcoming video to see how they compare. Now, before we get into techniques, we have one secret weapon we have added to our rig. It's not essential, but it's been a massive game changer for us and how we tell our underwater stories. Action cameras have always been known for being wide-angle beasts and useless for small stuff. But this tiny flip-on macro adapter from Backscatter solves that. It allows us to shoot reefs, manta rays and nudibranchs all on a single dive. Try doing that with a large full-frame rig. It makes it difficult to justify traveling with a huge setup. But using this lens is tricky. We'll be making a dedicated video on how to shoot macro with an action camera because it deserves its own tutorial. So make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss out on that. Next, let's talk about the settings we use for wide-angle shooting. The specific menu options will differ depending on your camera, but these can be applied across the board. For resolution and frame rate, we go for 4K 60 frames per second. It gives you plenty of resolution whilst avoiding overheating or maxing out your memory card and hard drives. But most importantly, this lets you slow down the footage in post, smoothing out any jitters and giving you that epic ultra cinematic look. That looks amazing on underwater footage. For lens settings, we like to use super view and sometimes hyperview, but this can create some stretching and distortion in the corners. We recommend setting stabilization to hyper smooth or equivalent depending on your camera. You can also choose boost on GoPro at the cost of a bigger crop into the image. Light changes constantly and rapidly underwater, so we avoid using auto white balance, which can cause some annoying color shifts during shooting, which are hard to correct in post. Instead, we go for manual white balance, fixed at around 6000K to compensate for the color difference at depth. This keeps the reef looking natural whilst maintaining the nice deep blues of the background, and leaves room for adjustment in post. For color profiles, we prefer to use standard or natural rather than flat or log profiles. We find it flexible enough to dial in the looks that we want in post with minimal effort. But choose log if you want maximum flexibility for color grading. Let us know in the comments if you want to see a full tutorial on how we edit our underwater footage in post. So, we've talked about gear and settings, but without proper technique, your footage will still be lacking that professional cinematic edge. So, we've put together a few simple tips that you can use on your next dive trip. Tip number 1, get close. Closer means better clarity, better colours and fewer particles ruining your shot. So, get close, then get even closer. Just take extra care if you're using lights, not to scare or annoy marine life or other divers. We recommend starting further back, then edging closer as the subject fills the frame. Tip number 2, shoot up. The most common habit we see from people new to underwater shooting is pointing the camera down at the reef and subjects. You end up with a rocky or sandy background, zero depth of field and amateur looking shots. A simple way to elevate your shots is by pointing the camera at a more upward angle, eliminating the boring background and replacing it with blue water, light rays and the shimmering surface. So, try to get slightly beneath your subject and angle the camera upwards for instant epicness. Tip number 3, be intentional. Another typical mistake we see is divers not being intentional with what they're capturing underwater. They swim around with the camera held out in front, pointing it at and chasing everything they see. Instead of this, decide what you want to shoot and how you're framing it before you press record. Think slow, simple, intentional movements and use small fin kicks. A slow and intentional drift towards a reef or subject looks way more cinematic than swimming randomly in all directions trying to capture everything in one go. And now onto our final piece of advice for this video. We've told you how image stabilization and slow motion are fantastic tools for helping you get smooth pro-level shots. But at the start of this video, we promised to reveal the number one mistake that divers make that ruins their shots, no matter how expensive their camera rig is. And that is bad buoyancy. We see so many divers jump in with the camera and their buoyancy goes completely out the window. Without perfect buoyancy, the best gear and settings are useless. By fine-tuning this essential skill, you'll be able to get smooth, stable and intentional shots without burning through your air, damaging the reef or kicking up sand. Once buoyancy becomes second nature, you're free to really focus on your shooting. It's the best way to level up your videos regardless of which camera you use. The only way to obtain this is through practice. So there you have it. You don't need a $20,000 cinema rig to shoot amazing underwater videos. You just need a reliable action camera, a stable tray, some powerful lights and the patience to master your buoyancy. The barrier to entry for underwater filmmaking has never been so low. So grab your gear, get in the water and start telling your own ocean stories. If you found this video helpful, hit that like button so YouTube knows to share it with other divers. And if you want to see exactly how we shoot macro subjects with our action camera, subscribe so you don't miss out. We'll see you underwater.